Welcome back to another episode of Turf Talk. I am your host, David Whitbeck, joined by Alex Dillenberger, our chief agronomist at Groundhogs Lawn Care. Today, we're talking about preparing your lawn for heat stress. What's heat stress?
Oh, that's be the temperature coming up. Lawn tends to get a little hot, goes a little dormant. So a lot of people get that brownish look to their lawn, and it doesn't come back till it cools down or we get a lot of rain.
And most people are probably that time of year getting that phone call. Most companies are getting that phone call. My lawn's dying. What'd you do?
Yep,
And
they'll claim it as disease, or you came and applied something and you killed my lawn and you need to fix it. We get all that.
yeah, happens less and less each year. I think for us, anyways. I mean, it's always about identifying the problem, creating solutions. The idea, the concepts behind everything is where it starts. It's science, right? Everything boils down to the science, biology of the plant, the environment that it's living in. We talk mostly about cool season grass because we're primarily based in the northern zone, climate zone.
Yep.
So we're going to deal with grass species like bluegrass. We got ryegrass, and we got fescues, and those are mostly going to be affected during those heat months, unlike what zoysia and what else?
The Mid-Atlantic transition zone grasses. So you got zoysia, Bermuda, St. Augustine, things like that.
So those definitely don't apply to this conversation at all. So if you're watching this from your couch in Florida, maybe tune into a different episode, unless maybe you got a summer home up here in New York. So let's start with timing.
Well, we really want to start at very end of May, beginning of June. Really work into getting those months. June we're starting to see mid 70s, some 80s. It's starting to heat up. So we look end of May, like the last week of May, really getting into June, diving into it.
What does it mean to prepare the grass for the heat?
So what we're trying to do is we're trying to take your roots, drive them down as deep as we can. That way, when the summer months come and the heat comes, maybe our water isn't as good as it should be. We're not getting that full inch a week that we need. Your roots start to climb up. We want to be done before that happens. We want to hit it early. We want to have everything ready to go. So when the heat comes, when the kids are home from school and out in the lawns, when we're having the barbecues, we're out playing horseshoes and cornhole, we're ready to go.
So during those months, you want it to be as resilient as possible during the summer months, where it's already stressed out from the heat. It's stressed out because your kids are off from school, all their friends are over playing soccer and kickball in the backyard. So it's taking the most abuse during the time of year where it's actually the most stressed out even. So we're talking prevention and preparation for that heat stress and for that time of year where it's going to get just trampled on nonstop. So end of May, right?
Yeah,
Roughly
May, yeah.
early June, even straight through June, because then it's not in stress mode yet. It's still in grow mode,
Yep.
But we're not really pumping out the same type of growth and root growth. Most people don't even consider root growth. They
Right.
kind of forget that roots even exist. The plant under the ground is so much bigger than the plant above ground, and the bigger the plant below the ground, the better it can handle that heat stress.
Right. Everyone is concerned with color. While we're concerned with color, not our top priority. You want to kind of look at it as more of like a person. You want to look at it as we're looking for an overall healthy person. But we translate it to your grass. So you got to have from the ground up. You don't build a house from the roof down. You build it from the ground up. We're trying to do that with your lawn. We're trying to build it from the ground up, make that soil as healthy as we can, get the roots down as deep as we can so you can have the sustainable top that you're looking for.
So everybody knows, like when it comes to the house, you got a good foundation. You can't see that foundation anyways, but without a good foundation, you're not going to build that beautiful house on top of it.
No.
And even if you did without a good foundation, house is going to crumble in a short period of time when it starts getting, especially the weather stress, the shift in the ground. So it's kind of the same thing when you're looking at the plant, which is the same thing when you're talking about humans themselves. Like you think about the grass the same way you would think about nutrition for a human. The roots are full of proteins and carbs, just like that's what we're full of. So the more muscle strength, so the muscle is the root. When you're talking about the plant, the muscle is the root, and the bigger the muscle, the more it can withstand, the more pressure it can withstand, the less tired it's going to get. So the more stamina that the grass is going to get, because it's developed some really significant roots, a good muscular structure to be able to withstand all that additional stress. So looking at it from the same perspective that someone would look at it, like if I went to a gym, okay, and I'm looking for a personal trainer, that personal trainer should understand the nutrition that also goes into the optimization of my health and my fitness as well. So we can stack 2 plates on each side and ask me to squat that, and that's great, I can do it. But now ask me to do it on an empty stomach and I haven't eaten for 3 days. Am I going to have the energy to push that weight the same way if you fed me at the right time, right? Did I eat that morning meal or take the morning supplements, then get into the gym, do those squats? It's kind of the same premise with the lawn. If you feed it at the right time, when you go to put it under stress, then it's going to be able to perform better.
If you can lead up to, let's say, a race, let's say just going to the gym, let's say your lawn, you want to build it up to survive the heat. You got to put the base down. You got to put the work in. You got to get the food in ahead of time.
Yep.
You don't show up expecting to go into something with nothing in you or nothing in your lawn and expect it to hold up.
So we're training then, basically,
yes.
Right? So when we're talking about preparation for summer heat stress, we're talking about training the grass to get it to a point where it's strong enough to endure the race, right? Which is the summer and the heat and the stress. Yep. The lack of the water. When you're running that Ironman or you're on that bike, you only have so much fluid with you, and you got to somehow be trained to withstand that. Yep. So having a little more muscle on your body is gonna go a long way to help you get through that. Having the right nutrients in your body is going to help you get through those. Some of the sickest people I've ever seen in my life are skinny.
Yeah.
They're not even big people. They're super skinny. I'm not saying that people that ride bikes are unhealthy or anything, but I've never seen like a really big guy that's a runner or a long distance biker or anything, because what happens is that person puts their body into this catabolic state. Catabolic being that your body is now eating itself. It's using the muscle in the body to provide the energy to get through the workout. Where a metabolic state is where the body is using the nutrients in the body to provide energy to get you through that workout. And the grass is very similar, where it's going to start eating away at the root base through the summer. So you could build some roots, even naturally. I want to say roots could get as deep as 8-10 inches with no nutrients in it in the spring. Yeah, no help at all. It's active growing season. The roots get to 6, 8, 10 inches deep, and you might not even know that because you're only looking at 6 inches of grass up there at the most, unless you don't mow your grass often enough. But what'll happen from there is that the heat stress comes and the plant at the top needs to survive, so it starts eating. It goes catabolic. It starts eating itself from the roots up to provide enough energy to stay alive and not go, well, not necessarily alive, in some cases alive, sure, I've seen it burn out and die, but to keep itself from going dormant is the biggest thing.
And like, even if your lawn does happen to go dormant, which our goal is to make you mow in July, something nobody else around here is going to get you to do. But even if your lawn goes dormant, and I can think of lawns right here in Queensbury that do it. We'll get into the days where it's 85, 90, nights are 75 degrees, all the ones we don't sleep. You turn around, 2 days later, the lawn is brown and it looks like it just died overnight from the heat. Saturday, Sunday rolls around, we get a nice thunder boomer that comes in on some humidity. You go back to that same lawn on Monday and it's green. And there's no questions about it. And you can go to some of those lawns, usually they're non-irrigated, and you can pull a sample out and you can go down a foot and you're still going to find roots in August a foot deep. And it all goes back to this phase of the year where you can build it up so it's ready to go for that time. And part of that has to do with water.
I would say a huge chunk. I mean, water's a nutrient, just like anything else. But then we got to start taking into consideration what nutrients are we adding to it. You know, we're not just like here's the suggestion, right? Let's just throw nitrogen at it. Well, what's nitrogen going to do when it gets hot? You know?
Yeah, nitrogen is going to grow your top. It's going to do nothing for your roots. In fact, what it'll do is it's going to force the plant to grow so tall that it's actually going to suck the roots up on its way. So
Right.
you're actually doing more harm than good by trying to force that growth during the hot months, as opposed to like this time of year where you can get away with it. In the fall, you can get away with a little bit of it, but the fall is a whole nother animal because we're doing a whole nother process. But
Right.
springtime,
But it's still for the same thing, right? It's
Same thing.
stress. It's
Yes.
now you're going
Just
into
winter
cold
stress.
stress.
Yes.
Yeah, it's same concept.
so you go into the spring, you go out, you throw something quick down, get your lawn ripping, streaming hot. It's growing. You're mowing it 2-3 times a week, trying to keep up. All you're doing is frying your chance at surviving the summer. So what you're doing there is you're forcing the plant to grow tall. You're not letting the roots go down. All the energy that's being taken up through the roots is being put into top growth. There's zero storage happening. Come the first hot day, there's a good chance you're going to start to see it turn a little blue or purple, depending on what your eyes pick up. Unless you're willing to stand out in your yard with a hose, you're just going to burn it up.
Yeah, then you really want to water.
Yeah.
You might want to drown it a little bit, you know.
Well,
It's like dunking yourself in the lake, but you could still shock it even more, right?
yes,
So
you want
now-
to syringe it. It's what you want to do.
syringe, right. So at this point, what I'm hearing is that what's more important than promoting that top growth in this springtime and just looking, let's try to get that deep dark color, which should naturally happen from providing the proper nutrients regardless. What I'm hearing is that the root growth is actually way more important than the top growth.
Correct.
All right, so plant health. It boils down to really making sure that the plant is as healthy as possible, and it's been trained to go into those stressful moments.
The number one goal of our plan this year, last year, next year, 20 years from now, the goal of our plan is overall plant health. If you don't have a good soil, you don't have a good root system, you're never going to have the lush green lawn you want. So
Right.
if your roots are short, if you're that person that come April 1st, your irrigation goes on, you set it for 20 minutes every day, or I've seen some for an hour a zone every day, you're the guy that's going to have shallow roots. Please don't base this off a golf course. Golf courses have to run a little different because of the types of grasses.
Right.
You will see them watering every day, different
And the
animal.
heights.
And the
too.
heights.
Yeah.
So you're mowing your lawn 3 inches, you drown it in water, you're going to have short roots. You are literally going to have a thin lawn no matter what you do. We can dump fertilizer on it, we can come overseed for them, we can aerate, we can do whatever we want to do to it. It's never going to be good. Keep your water down 3 times a day, except for right now where we need none. We have more rain coming. You can literally let your lawn build itself up so that come beginning of July when we're 90 degrees and everyone's arguing about the heat except for me, you turn around
Oh, I hate it.
and now your lawn just succeeds all summer long.
Yep.
Till we get to that mid-August window when we kind of reverse roles and our nights are starting to get back down in the 60s and the grass takes off again.
And most people don't even realize we're still spoon feeding it. That
The whole
nitrogen
time.
and some potassium all summer long. But it's about all the other nutrients as well. How to get into that phase to where the grass doesn't go dormant and it doesn't decide that it's shutting down, you know. Which brings me to the thought, like where most companies are telling you, oh, apply this potassium right around a bunch of potassium around June, July. What you see mostly is guys doing this in July because that's when the grass is stressed.
Yep.
So what I see is waiting is the guys the guy's hammering down bananas at that point.
Yep.
They're on mile 26 and they're dying because they didn't put the nutrients in their body before, and they didn't do all the preparation to get themselves through it. So now they're just going into like like survival mode.
Yep.
But here's the crazy thing. The grass, just like humans, will shut down. We'll stop soaking up those nutrients the same way. We're still going to go catabolic. Doesn't matter how much you dump in there. If you're halfway through the race and you've triggered that state in your body, it's the same thing with the grass. If you've triggered survival mode, now you have to go back to the syringing, keeping it cool, and then trying to get that thing to come back to metabolize the nutrients that are in the soil. Otherwise, where are they? Where do the nutrients go?
They're locked up once
they stay in the soil.
There are several nutrients in the soil. They're naturally occurring. We put a bunch of them in. There are several of them that once they get locked up in the soil, meaning they went down, the grass didn't need them at that time or didn't take it up at that time, they become ingrained in the molecules in the soil, and no matter what the plant does, it cannot release them. There are ways to get those nutrients available to the plant. It's a little bit different of a process that we can look at if we ever run into that situation. The way we feed, the timing of when we feed, we shouldn't really encounter that problem ever.
No. Well, that's going back to the beginning when we talked about the concepts. When you look at the plant as it's a living thing, right? So we want to nurture that thing the best we can. We want to provide it the nutrients we can. No different than me drinking this, right? So I'm drinking coconut water, and I'm not a sponsor or being sponsored or whatever, right? This is not a plug for coconut water, but or a company, but just for coconut water in general. I'm not over here drinking a Gatorade. I'm not looking to spike my blood sugars. I'm looking for we got some simple carbohydrates that are gonna help provide some energy. We've got calcium, we've got potassium, we've got phosphorus, magnesium. Sounds like everything we see on a label for our organic mix, right? So if we're gonna put down organic micronutrients, it's the same thing that I need to put into my body for electrolytes.
Right.
So we want the ability to be able to absorb that. So it goes back to preparation again. We're going into June. What are we putting into the ground, right? Carbon. We're putting in the microorganisms, all those organics. We're putting in all those micronutrients that time of year. So most people don't understand. A little fun fact, carbon molecules are very similar in shape and size to the hydrogen molecules. So they combine, they actually attach to each other. So if we're able to get some carbon down at the root system before that heat stress comes, then every time water goes anywhere near those roots, even if the plant doesn't want it in the moment because it's stressed from the 90-degree day, when it starts to cool off and that temperature hits 75, even in the middle of the night, it's going to start to pull that water. And it's going to hold that water against the root base until it does. And then as soon as the plant goes, okay, I'm ready for a drink, it's going to absorb it, take that in. And while it's doing that with all those other nutrients there, that water molecule is holding all those little nutrients, all the little magnesiums and phosphorus, and which, I mean, that's a conversation for a different day with phosphorus. We don't apply phosphorus in New York unless we're putting seed down, but all these other potassiums and calciums that are there, it's not going to touch those until it's happy, until it's in that state where it's able to metabolize that. So we can lock those into position. So as soon as the plant says, I need nutrients, it's able to take those in.
Well, see, now you brought up something else too with the organics. So more than one reason to put organics down your lawn. One of the biggest reasons that I have gone with and truly believe in is the fact that synthetic fertilizers over the years will deplete your natural organisms in the soil. There's a whole big, long scientific process with CEC and how fertilizer works. But essentially, to break it down, got microorganisms in the soil. They chew up the fertilizer. What they produce is what the plant's available to take up. So one of the ways that your nutrients can get locked up in the soil is those microorganisms are so far gone and so far depleted that they've died off. With some of the products we're using, we're putting those back. They're actually living organisms. that we are applying directly to your lawn that are going to go down in the soil, and they are going to live there, and they are going to help these nutrients become available to the plant. One big thing with the carbon is it is one of their primary food sources.
Yeah.
So now, not only are we putting them back, we're giving them food. It's no different than sitting in your house at night looking through empty cupboards and an empty refrigerator and you're hungry. You go to bed hungry because you got nothing.
Mm.
You might find a box of crackers that have been sitting in the cupboard since 1982, but
We're hurting.
you got to eat what you got to eat.
We're hurting.
Well, if your grass is eating that box of crackers from 1982, it's not going to do a whole lot. If you give it food, fresh food available to it, you are kickstarting it. You're giving it that real big shot. It's like giving it a can of Monster and just unleashing it.
Oh boy. Well, you're going to give it a stomach ache to start,
Well,
right?
we're not
And how
sponsored by
long-
Monster either.
And how long is that going to freaking last, right? That before you crash, right?
Exactly.
So it's the same concept. We're going back to the human body is the same as the plant itself. So we spike the sugars,
Yep.
right? The sugars in the plant, then the plant produces insulin. Insulin is a blocker, right? It tells the metabolism to stop. You're not allowed to process these sugars.
Right.
Okay. So once you tell that to happen, what happens to it? It just gets stored. And in humans, it gets stored as fat. But then in the plant, it doesn't get stored as anything. It gets locked up into the soil,
Yep.
which is the fat, right? The soil, I'm all about soil health. Like,
Have to be.
oh my God, soil, you don't get plant health without soil health. So you got to start all the way from the beginning. If we go back agriculturally anyways, and why our foods don't have the same nutrients in it that they did 50, 60, 100 years ago, a couple centuries ago, it's because the nutrients are missing mostly from the synthetic fertilizers, but also all the tilling and things. That's a conversation for a different day. But it's all relative in the same concept anyways.
Right.
But one thing you said that really stood out to me was the carbon, and it needs the carbon. A little known fact about grass is that a very happy, healthy lawn sequesters carbon from the atmosphere. It actually pulls in what it needs from the environment. And we all know there's plenty of that in the atmosphere.
There is.
There's tons of it. So that grass, an actual healthy lawn is cleaning the air from carbon, putting it where it needs to go so that it can metabolize that carbon and it can actually stay in a state of happy, healthy growth to continue to do more. It's a cycle. Right. And it's the happy cycle of it, rather than the sad cycle where it goes dormant every summer.
Right. So you keep everything fed at a balanced level. You're not out there trying to make your lawn grow 2 inches a day. You're trying to get that slow, steady. You want that 1 inch of growth a week that you have to cut off, so you're keeping to your 1/3 rule. You're going along. You look around in July, your lawn's green, everybody else's is brown. You got your water flowing right 3 times a week, 20 minutes a zone.
Sometimes. Right. It's humid out. I don't care if it's 110. If your skin is sticking to your clothing because you walked outside, don't have your water on. Just don't.
Anyone who likes to watch the weather, probably not as much as we have to, you're going to find a little thing on there called evapotranspiration, or it's going to be labeled as ET. That's your biggest indicator. That's going to tell you how much water is being taken up off the ground on a daily basis.
Right.
That about tells you how much you want to put back. If you're only losing, 0.01 inches because we're at 98% humidity, but it's 95 degrees out and it feels like 120, you really don't need to put that much water back. There's enough water in the atmosphere that's going to come down at night. It's called dew. That's a shot of water going back.
Yep.
You don't need to keep drowning it every single day. All you're doing is adding to that stress level. Now, when it does get hot, your water's sitting in the top 2 inches. That's where your roots are sitting because that's where they get it. Now you're torched.
I just got a good idea. For everyone who's watching this that has no clue what he's talking about, a great way to understand, how much water will release from the plant in a given day, right? Which is called
ET.
ET. Go outside, take a little 15-minute jog. And if you can stop at the end of that jog and 10 minutes later you're dry, water your lawn.
Yeah.
If
Definitely.
10 minutes later you're still soaked, don't water your lawn.
Yeah, it's that simple.
Yeah, I mean, I know that like on some of the hottest days when I'm outside, I don't have to do anything and I'm just soaked. I'm not going to water my lawn that day.
Nope.
But if I go outside and the wind's whipping and I'm dry and I'm drying out, even on a cooler day, I'm going to water my lawn. And I don't have to get too crazy with it. It's just, all right, I know that the plant needs some water. I'm just going to water it. The idea isn't to be a slave to it. We want to set it and forget it mentality. Rain sensors are a damn near must. In my mind, if you want to be the person who can set it and forget it, you have to have that rain sensor.
And you have to check it. You have to make sure it's actually working.
Yeah, you do have to check it seasonally. That's part of an irrigation startup, which is a service offered by many irrigation companies. They'll come turn it on, make sure everything is rotating right or misting properly. They'll do like a little mini audit. They'll double check to make sure that your sensors are connected. And typically also, I mean, if it's raining outside and you know when your irrigation is going to go off, if it goes off, you got to call your guy and have them, fix it or whatever. But so that's like number one. Number two is going back to 3 days a week.
Yep.
And just nice deep watering to the point where it would almost puddle if you let it go any further. That's pretty much the syringe. And you only need to do that every once in a while. And I think that at that point, even during the humid months, unless you start to see any discoloration, which you see that discoloration, just shut it off. Don't call your irrigation guy when you have a problem with your lawn. Call your fertilizer guy when you have a problem with your lawn. Don't call your mowing guy. Call the person who treats the lawn. Let them take a quick look at it. They'll decide what it is, whether it's a cultural practice, whether it's too much water. They'll let you know what's going on with the plant.
Don't go pour coconut water on your lawn either. Way too expensive.
It's way too expensive, although I'll tell you, your lawn will love it.
Yes,
Your lawn
it'll
will
eat it up.
absolutely love it. Look, it's replenishes electrolytes, provides vital nutrients, and hydrates. I mean, what lawn wouldn't love that?
Exactly.
Unless it's humid. But no, I'm just kidding.
You don't need to go flood your lawn with coconut water.
No.
So you buy that little $10 item. We get into those hot days come end of June, beginning of July. Walk out and check it. If it's at a 4 to 6 down low, give it another 2 days. Just keep letting it dry up. Let it dry out. Let the disease leave. That way you can sit back and look at your neighbor's yard and call us up and say, hey, my neighbor's lawn's covered in red thread, but mine's good.
Yeah.
All because you spent $10 on a moisture meter and you're keeping an eye on it, as opposed to set it and forget it, or it's been 2 weeks, we haven't got any good rain. Well, guess what? Humidity is going to work too. We are going to get those thunderstorms. They happen often in the summertime. Yes, they dump a lot of water. Some of it's going to run off. A lot of it's going to go in. Mm-hmm. Unless we've been hot and dry for 3-4 weeks, that ground's going to take it up. The other problem with it going dormant with heat stress, not keeping it going, is it becomes hydrophobic.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
You can dump all the water in the world you want onto it. Mother Nature can give us 2 inches of rain overnight. All that water's shedding off your lawn.
Humans do it too.
Yeah.
Yeah, once you get to a certain point, water, I mean, we're not going to talk about, let's just say it comes back out and it
Yes.
induces coming back out, right?
Right.
We're not going to get too graphic about that. But yeah, I mean, it's very similar.
Yep.
We just got to look at it the same way that we would look at, a human body. And I know a lot of people don't pay attention to that, but for those that do, for the 10 people that are actually watching this and the one person that wants to go get that moisture meter, cheers to you. But I think if when all's said and done, you want to take the concept behind it as we're going to do everything we need to do, follow the simple instructions, don't overwater, watch these videos, just set your damn meter or your clock, set that thing so it's watering 3 times, nice deep watering, early in the morning, have it shut off by 7:30 so it's got the day to dry out. I don't think you even really need to go that deep into it, to be honest with you. I mean, I was just driving around myself looking at a few of our properties. I will look at some of our irrigated properties just to kind of see what people are doing. You can usually tell when they're overwatering. But I really like driving by our non-irrigated properties. They're my favorite. They are absolutely beautiful compared to everybody else's, compared to even some of our ones that are right on the same block that have that irrigation system. And first thing we do when we see that is we get on the horn with the guy with the irrigation and we say, turn it off.
Yeah.
Turn it off. Look 3 houses down on your left. Okay. If that guy doesn't have irrigation, your problem is too much water.
Yep.
So sometimes it's just so simple and it's staring you in the face. But because the water guy says this is what it should be set at, doesn't mean the water guy understands how to grow grass. He just understands how to deliver water to the grass.
Yep.
And some of them, believe it or not, some of these guys are big experts too. I've talked to a couple guys. They're more plumbing experts than they are grass experts, and man, they talk circles around me when it came to plumbing and pressure and volume and all types of stuff. And I know my way around an irrigation system, but I know a bit more about plant health and soil health than I do even about plumbing. So for me, I know if I have a problem, my irrigation system isn't working right, I'm not going to call the treatments guy. I'm going to call the plumber, right? The outdoor plumber, which is your irrigation specialist. That's who I'm calling then. If I see a problem in the turf, I'm going to call the treatments guy.
Right.
So biggest things, as far as I'm concerned, have to be prepared. You got to be prepared for a stressful situation, or else you're just going to get stressed out. You're going to shut down. You're going to overwhelm your lawn, and then you're going to be fighting to try to get it to come back. It's going to be harder to revive things once it's stressed out. So timing, pretty important, something we handle. What you're putting down and
Even
what time,
more important.
right? So getting those microorganisms back in, the carbon, just adding the carbon in, we sequester it too. We can go get the carbon and bring it back to the lawn, get the lawn healthy so the lawn will pull its own carbon. So it's very, very simple to add some things back in, but most people aren't talking about that. They're talking about furt and squirt, right? Just,
Full on nitrogen storm, iron storm.
yeah,
Just
what can I do to get some growth and color?
All they want is growth and color. Nobody truly looks at soil health. I think we're literally the only people around that do it. And it all boils down to that. Look at your house. Did you build your house from the roof down, or did you build it from the ground up?
Right.
We have to build your lawn from the ground up. You want that quick growth. You want to put it down, have your lawn green in 3 days, and then have it go away after 10 days and go spend another $60, $70 on more fertilizer. Go for it. But as soon as the heat hits, you're going to have no grass. You're going to have the family over for July 4th for a barbecue, and you're going to be running around on dirt.
And everybody's going to tell you, you're going to go to your local store and you're going to say, my lawn's stressed. And they're going to say, here's this, I don't know what they'd give you. Probably at that point, something no nitrogen, hopefully, with a bunch of potassium in it. It's 007. Go throw down 6.66 pounds per thousand of this. Blast it with potassium. Grass will be happy. And it's not. The potassium in there is just going to sit in the soil because the grass isn't able to take that up. It's too late. You've gone too far. If you're going to load it with potassium, preload it, right? That's your pre-workout. Honestly, you want to get those electrolytes in there. You want to build up those proteins. You want to build up those carbs. You really want to get that root development prior to the heat stress season. And then you can spoon feed it whatever you need through the summer, especially giving it those microorganisms, the micronutrients, the carbons, the things that are actually going to help continually uptake the nutrients out of the soil. And you're gonna limit how much you're frying out. You're right. So roots should be 18 inches deep by going into June, maybe even a little deeper going into June. Coming out of summer, your roots should still be 6 to 8 inches, in my mind.
They should be.
Should be.
If you're doing things right, if you're watering correctly, we know it's being fed right. If you're watching this, it's being fed right.
Yeah.
It's a matter of getting the cultural side of things down. We got the health side going. It's getting the cultural side going. It's keeping it at that 3 inches.
Unless
Not
you're on a slope facing south, 4 inches.
4 inches, yes.
4 inches. That's the only time you mow at 4 inches is on a slope, especially a slope facing south. You want a little bit longer grass. It's direct sunlight. It burns it up faster. So that's a big thing most people don't realize also. So I'm going to throw that one
4
in
inches
there.
on a south facing slope. But keeping all that going, you're going to set yourself up for more success come July, beginning of August. I don't know about you, but I like being outside that time of year. I like enjoying the outside
Right.
and not having to sit there and look at dirt or wonder why your lawn is burned up and brown.
All prickly because it's stiff, right?
Yep.
And you're out there running around with your kids and breaking the grass blades.
We
in
want
half.
bouncy grass, not crunchy grass.
Yeah, bouncy grass. Yeah, so phosphorus, what? Don't apply it too late. Very important for
Phosphorus,
the plant.
don't apply to it at
Or
all.
phosphorus. Man, listen to me. Don't apply that at all to the plant. Not in New York anyways. We have a little bit of an abundance of phosphorus in our soil. And potassium, on the other hand, we're going to want to apply it early, and then we're going to want to apply it at the end.
Yep.
Right? So outside of the heat stress period. So in preparation for the heat and then recovery. So it's kind of the same. I go right back to my, the long conversations with the nutritionists and the personal trainers and stuff like that, where they're like, it's all about what you're taking in prior to your workout and then recovery afterwards. Those aminos that are going to be available to the plant for the recovery at the end are extremely important. And if you can build up enough proteins in your plant through that summertime and it's left with those proteins in the end, then when you come back and give it that shot of FERT and going into the fall, man, does it do well just to bring those roots back. So then by going into winter time, when you're trying to prevent the cold stress and you're back to 18-inch roots, now you're going to go back into the spring the next year with deep, deep, deep roots that are going to only get deeper. I mean, I guess there's probably a limit to that. But then instead of it going up to 5-6 inch root base in August, now potentially you're in that 10-12 range in August, especially if you are able during certain times of year to give it those nice deep waterings, especially any like drought months that just happen to hit us randomly.
Right.
But even if you're not, we're still seeing those significant results where just making sure that the roots are happy gives you a top growth that's still happy in those hot months.
Yep. About keeping it fed, keeping it green, keeping it mowed up, looking good. Don't let it get to 5 inches and then try to mow it back down. It doesn't work.
What would you do? What would you do if you were going to go back into train for the Ironman? You're like, I'm going to get a nutritionist. I'm going to get a personal trainer. I'm going back in and I'm going to lock in for a year. So you start interviewing nutritionists and you show up and one of them's eating a Snickers while you're talking to them, and or her, I guess it doesn't matter, but they're sitting there eating a Snickers and they're out of shape and they're getting a little out of breath even just talking to you. You going with that nutritionist?
The first thing I'm going to do is ask them for a Snickers, and then I'm probably going to leave. Because I haven't started yet.
Well, because you're not. Well, it's recommended.
Yeah,
clearly.
I mean, if
it's
the
recommended.
nutritionist is eating a Snickers, then eat a Snickers.
My first question is, are you diabetic? Do you need that? But I mean, no, maybe not. I'll probably be politer than that. But that's still like, it would blow my mind. So it's personal trainer. Would you want a personal trainer? Like, say your goal is to, have, big muscles and six pack or something like that. Like, what personal trainer meets that goal? It's certainly not going to be one that isn't able to do that for themselves. But sometimes I think we get those twisted too, because I look at some of these bodybuilders coaches and they're like 5'2", 102 pounds. They're scrawny little guys, but then they know the mechanics of how the body works and they grow. Like, you ever see some of the guys like C-Bum, their trainers are like these little old men or something, It's no different than Mickey and Rocky. Mickey isn't stepping into the ring and taking the beating from the Russian, is he? No, Rocky does that. But he's got somebody that truly knows how to do it, right? that you're not going to walk into that room and they're going to be doing something opposite of what you're saying.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess that was, a little far fetched, but still, the idea is to find the source that looks deeper into the concepts, and can produce those results. I mean, we can offer guarantees like a green guarantee for a reason. Oh well, I don't have irrigation. Good. We're glad we're glad you don't. We guarantee your lawn's still going to be green. It's extremely rare it's not, and then when it's not, it's usually a different cause.
Yep.
I mean, what would we do if the Earth turns into Mars for a month? That's happened in August before, where we don't even get a drop of water.
Nope.
We're still fairly green. It might not be that lush, deep green, but I'll tell you, compare it to the other guy. Just compare it, and you're going to go, okay, my lawn is green. You know, you're not even going to have to compare it, because driving home, you're like, man, we need rain. And then you're going to get home there, and you hear on the radio 10 times, shut your water off. We hear that in Clifton Park a lot, where during droughts, especially in that area, they make you shut your irrigations
Clifton
off.
Park also does a beautiful thing where they say on even days, I can't remember if it's even or odds, don't hold me to it. On even days, even number houses can water.
Yep.
Odd days, odd number houses can water.
And
That's
not for
beautiful.
the right reasons.
Not for the right
our
reason,
reasons, for
but it
their
works.
reasons. Yeah, yeah.
I mean, if everybody went with that, even if you just cut it down and said, okay, I'm only going to water my lawn on even days.
right?
That's
half the
better
time.
than watering it every day.
Exactly. I think that's funny how it worked out for everyone
Yes,
that way.
it's beautiful.
Some of the nicest lawns we have are down in that area too. But that's not the end all be all. It's not, you got to have water, but can we lock up that carbon to the root, trap the water in that spot where when it's needed, it's there.
Yep.
That's one of the biggest things, So, I think we've exhausted every point we can on how to prep for heat stress. Of course, if you're having problems with your lawn, give us a call. We'll probably send somebody smart like Al out, take a look. We're going to pull core samples in some cases that time of year, right?
Yep.
We'll pull a core sample. We're going to check 6-8 inches deep, see if water is your problem. But really, we're looking for root growth. That's one of the primary things that you want to focus on. And I think we've said enough about roots for the day. What do you think?
Yeah, I'm rooted out.
Yeah. All right. I don't have a silly little thing. I wanted to have something right there in the moment, but I don't have it.
Garth agrees.
Garth does agree,
He always agrees.
unless he doesn't.
Lucy's playing Connect 4 today, not just laying there.
I know. Still reigning champion, Connect 4, Groundhog's Lawn Care.
You can keep it.
I want it. Good game.